Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here with the digital airwaves of YouTube. Before I get to my next guest, I got to say this about the great Caitlin Clark because she is phenomenal. Walked into last night's game against Michigan needing 8 points to become the all-time leading scorer in women's college hoops, okay? She scored the first 8 points of the game. Got the record that's right there. And finished with 49. So not only did she get the 8, then she dropped an additional 41 on the University of Michigan. Clearly, this isn't college football. This is college basketball. Women's college basketball is and she is the truth. Make no mistake about it. Caitlin Clark is something special. And I think the thing that needs to be said about her is that she's the biggest star in women's hoops, period, right now. I don't think there's anybody in the WNBA more popular than her. So the real question should be, what do we think she's going to do for women's basketball overall? It's a worthy subject, particularly as we're here in Indianapolis for NBA All Star Weekend. And it's the perfect opportunity to get to my next guest who's with me right now. He's got his own YouTube, he's got his own podcast. He's big time when it comes to the sport of basketball. I know I got a lot of love for him. The one and only Kenny Beecham. It's good to see you in person, my man.
Finally.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, doing great.
How long was that ride from Chicago?
2.5 hours.
Just 2.5?
We got a personal drive. It was cool.
Even with the snow coming down?
No snow on the way here.
No snow.
It just started, and it is what it is.
I got you. You heard what I said about Caitlin Clark. I know you usually talking NBA, basketball, whatever, but we know you know hoops.
Yes.
When you saw what this woman did last night, when you see what she's done overall in her collegiate career, and you scan the WNBA and fantasize about what she may be able to do, what thoughts come to your mind?
I think she could take it to the next level. The W has been doing a great job of marketing their players, I think, as of recently, but I think Caitlin Clark is the next thing for that. We talk about all the social media hits, I mean, viral everywhere. She's the next person to do that for the league, and I think it's going to be great.
How'd you feel about, hearing Cheryl Swoops, the great Cheryl Swoops, Hall of Famer, coming out, talking about, you know what, I don't think she's going to be as good as people think. We always have Hall of Famers, people who preceded the next generation that speak about what level these folks are on compared to what level they were on or whatever. What did you make of what Swoops said?
Of course, we got to respect her as one of the greatest to ever do it, but I think Caitlin's on a different level. And I think anytime something like that happens when we have an all-time great, saying like maybe not just yet, time will tell. Caitlin's going to get there soon. Right. And we're going to see if she's really about that. And I personally think that all of that is real.
I think that she's the great, I call her the female Steph Curry. She's that special. But Steph Curry, we here at All Star Weekend right here in Indianapolis, and Steph Curry's about to go up against Sabrina Ionescu. What are your thoughts about that competition?
I'm excited about that. I mean, last year we saw her break all of the records possible in the three-point shooting contest.
She can beat him now.
She definitely can. Right. I don't know. He's the greatest shooter I've ever seen. Sabrina just did some amazing stuff. I think it's going to be close. I'll give the nod to Steph, though.
So am I. Yeah. I mean, we're not trying to be, we're not engaging in any gender bias.
Oh, no, not at all.
We thought he'd lose, we'd say so.
For sure.
But I can't see anybody, even though Clay did beat him once.
Yes. But Steph is like one of those people that when he got the adequate competition, and she basically called him out for it, right. I think he's going to bring his A game.
I got you. She did call him out.
She did. I know. Greatest shooter ever.
Had he done that, he would have been insulted. They would have been questioning his manhood. But she could say what she could say, and she gets away with it.
Yeah. And I actually like that she was able, and felt confident enough to say, like, we know he's the greatest shooter that the world has seen, but I know I'm that girl. And I want to see that.
Okay. I ain't mad at her. I ain't mad at her. Let's switch to the NBA, man, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about here at All Star Weekend. First order of business, we saw Klay Thompson. I was speaking about this earlier. He exploded on Thursday night, dropped 35 in 3 quarters. Utah lost to Golden State 141-37. He had 20 points in the fourth quarter. In terms of stats, with about a minimum of 500 attempts, I think he's the worst clutch shooter in the game today at about 27%. But Klay is still Klay. He's still one of the all-time great shooters we've ever seen in NBA history. What do you make of what you saw from him just the other night? What do you make of what you've seen from him this season?
It's been interesting because maybe a month or two ago, he had his comments about when he first got set in the fourth quarter, and he wasn't really comfortable about it. But the last week or so, he's kind of opened up to the idea. He mentioned that Ray Allen wasn't the same player the last couple years of his career as he's tried to take a step back because he wasn't doing the same stuff he was doing in Milwaukee or in Seattle. And we kind of see the lifespan of a shooter with Reggie Miller eventually adjusting. And Klay's like, I think I'm willing to do that. Now, I was surprised to see him come off the bench yesterday, but happy to see that he dropped 30-plus points in that. So, I mean, I think that because of how good Klay Thompson is, the idea of Klay Thompson, even if he's not having his best year, he's going to be respected across the league as far as coaching go. He's going to keep the game open and space for them. And then the rookie, Brandon Podziemski, is having amazing night after amazing night. It makes sense. And even Steve Kerr said after last night's game that don't look for Klay Thompson to start lineup for the foreseeable future. And I think that's just interesting. And I don't think you make that decision to Steve Kerr unless you get the thumbs up from Steph, unless you get the thumbs
How
up.
surprised have you been by Podziemski? I didn't expect him to be this.
I didn't either. Because when I started to watch college basketball, it's the NCAA tournament. His team wasn't there last year.
That's right.
So I didn't know anything about him other than he went to Illinois, shout out to Chicago and everything, but then transferred away from that. So I came in completely blind. I had no idea he was going to be this polished as a rookie. And we're kind of seeing a few guys across the league that come in like that. And it's kind of cool. Like we think about the star players like the Wembys and the Chets and how they can impact the game as an all-star, but we don't really think about like the people that come in as role players. And he's been able to do that on a dynasty team.
One of the things I do like about Kerr, going back to Klay Thompson for a quick second, the one thing I love about him coming off the bench is that they're testing him.
Mm-hmm.
You want a new contract? We couldn't reach an accord.
Yep.
Obviously, people were speculating that he was lamenting a little bit how they couldn't reach an accord and it was affecting his play because his confidence had been compromised, et cetera, et cetera. We heard about LeBron and Steph and how the Golden State Warriors reached out to the Lakers to try to make that happen before the trading deadline expired. And there's no way on earth that you're trading for LeBron James and you wasn't giving up Klay at the very least, if not more. So we take all of those things into consideration. But I think this move by the Warriors is their way of saying, let's investigate whether or not you can really play this role effectively for us. Because if you can, we might want to keep you.
Yeah.
Your thoughts about that?
I think that this is what we saw at the deadline with them doing nothing made me think that this is like a somewhat of a gap year. Like they've been playing decent basketball recently other than the game that they blew against the Clippers a couple nights ago. But I believe that this is going to be one of the most interesting off seasons in all of basketball because of the Klay Thompson situation. And we're going to see, because I also think that some of the teams that have money, like the 76ers who have up to $60+ million in cap, or the Detroit Pistons who are trying to find their way, they're going to call Klay Thompson because he is Klay Thompson. Whether he's the all-star that we saw from 3 years ago or this version, he's going to warrant some money. So it's the Warriors like, okay, we know that these other teams have some money to potentially give you, but we love you here in the Bay. We can maybe make some other adjustments around you, but maybe the next part of your career is coming off the bench and playing a smaller role while we kind of introduce some of these younger people.
We know as we sit here during NBA All Star Weekend that there's always people who are not here that belonged here. And some people that may be here that didn't belong here ahead of those that were snubbed. When you look at the East and the West All Star roster, who stands out in your mind on each squad as somebody, as not having somebody that should be here?
Domantas Sabonis should be here in Indianapolis with us.
More so than De'Aaron Fox?
I think De'Aaron Fox's last 2 months, he had the shoulder injury, and because of that, his jump shooting has dropped down to like sub 30% from three-point range. In the first 2 months of the season, he was electric there. I think what Sabonis has done over the last 2 months is keep them afloat, and you can't convince me that he shouldn't be here. I mean, the NBA ladder itself said he's the sixth in MVP.
I'm not saying he should be here.
Yeah.
There ain't no way in hell you send him before De'Aaron Fox.
No, as far as the entertainment factor,
27 a game. I mean,
100%. I feel that. But I feel like if you talk to any Sacramento Kings fan, they say Sabonis has been our best player this year. And because of that, he deserves to be here.
Well, he's been the most consistent.
For sure.
I don't think he was the best player on the court for them when De'Aaron Fox was on the court healthy.
Well,
when he was on the court healthy now, come on, Kenny. Come on, Kenny.
I don't know.
Come on, Kenny.
He's averaging 20+, leading the league in rebounding, 8 assists. Just being as consistent as anybody in basketball. Obviously, the defense is something that you question.
Always.
But
Always.
I think that the stats are the stats, and I can't look past that.
Okay, what about the Eastern Conference?
Eastern Conference, because we had the injury replacements of Joel Embiid and Julius Randle, I thought they did a decent job. The only person I would like to see here is Jared Allen again because the Cavs went on this crazy run, 18 wins in 19 games, and he's been playing all defensive caliber defense. And then a lot of people just see J.A. and think he's a lob threat. He's been putting the ball on the floor a little bit, getting a little post touches, so I like that, but I don't know who you take off to get him there.
Let's stay on the subject of All-Star Weekend. I have been down on this weekend for quite some time. I love the NBA. Obviously, I've been covering it for over a quarter century. Looking at guys like yourself want to come up doing great work. I love it. I appreciate it. I'm wondering, however, if you can truly appreciate, because you are a young whippersnapper. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old fogey. I mean, I'm wondering if you can truly appreciate how much the slam dunk contest has been virtually destroyed. When you consider that LeBron James never, because I blame him, by the way, he never ever once participated in the slam dunk contest. every superstar that played above the rim. You can go from the Connie Hawkins to the David Thompsons to the Julius Irvins to the Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordans of the world to the Kobe Bryants of the world. Of course, T Mac and Trace and Vince Carter.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it all stopped because LeBron James did not want to participate in the slam dunk contest. I'm wondering how you feel about it. And do you disagree with my assertion that he ruined the slam dunk contest because he made it a non-priority for superstar athletic players to want to participate in the slam dunk contest?
Yeah, as far as me covering the sport, I guess it hasn't been great. I think this is the first year in the last 6 that we've had an All-Star, and it's Jaylen Brown. No disrespect to Jaylen Brown, he's great.
I appreciate him for participating.
Exactly, but other than that, we haven't really seen it. I mean, last year they lucked out by having Mac McClung, because without Mac McClung,
a G Leaguer.
It would have been as bad as possible. And he's back this year.
And he's back this year, but a G Leaguer saved the slam dunk contest.
Yeah, it's not exactly what you want. I guess I missed the part maybe a little bit before my time with Bron, where he decided that he wasn't going to do it. But Bron is the most influential person in basketball, right? What Bron is doing off the court, on the court.
Which means that he influenced it negatively, but
I
because
can
his
see
lack of participation discouraged others from participating.
I can see it. So of course, we all would want it to happen. We just got to hope that Mac McClung or Jaylen Brown puts on a show tonight. But no matter what, even if they do, it won't hit as good as if we had Vince here, or when we had Vince, or when we had Kobe, or anything like that.
I got to tell you, a couple of years ago, they had All Star Weekend. And I don't recall myself ever being this furious in my life when they had Cole Anthony with Timberlands on.
That's Cleveland, right? Yeah, we're in
Had
Cleveland.
Cole Anthony with Timberlands on. They had these guys missing one dunk after another.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was horrible.
It was
horrible.
Yeah.
So at that moment in time, I said, and then after the G Leaguer, McClung comes on board last year, and he wins the slam dunk title. I said, you know something? I dare anybody to tell me this is a bad idea. You could go and have a regional contest city to city in the park, any park in America. You understand what I'm saying? Where you see some of the top dunkers.
Yeah.
Okay, you offer prize money for $1 million. I mean, think about it. Let's call it what it is. We got cats out here doing the wrong things for a hell of a lot less.
Yeah.
A winning prize of $1 million, a consolation prize of $500,000, and a third place prize of $100,000. Okay, for the top 3. All right, finishes. I'm like, have this contest, get the brothers out there in the parks, throughout America, find your top 10.
Yeah.
And bring them to All Star Weekend.
It'd be better than what we got.
And have the players, you participate by picking which one you want to endorse.
Wow.
So if you're LeBron, if you're Steph, if you're this, you're that, you sit up there, you give them a little film, watch these brothers, we pick who you're going to sponsor.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And that way, you have this content. It could be nationwide. It will gravitate everybody for the NBA, have them looking forward to All-Star Weekend, okay, wherever it's going to be at. And for once, it's going to be at a decent, even though I don't consider San Francisco that great next year. But I'm just saying, it's going to be there, and we could go from there. What do you think about that idea?
I love the idea, because I think the biggest reason why the top players don't want to be in it, they don't want to be embarrassed. Like, you see Cole Anthony do that dunk. He thought it was amazing, but the rest of the crowd's like, that's not it. You don't want to see that.
Why you got on Timberlands for?
Exactly.
What's about Timberlands?
So Bron, he don't have to participate. He can just be the endorsement factor. I really do like that idea, because there's nothing better on Instagram than a crazy dunk. And there's a lot of like non-professional basketball players that can get it done. Right. So I like that idea. Something similar happened in Chicago a few months ago that I was a part of, but it was just Chicago. It was Chicago-based hoopers, and I was impressed by just Chicago.
No
so
doubt.
Imagine if we open it up.
No doubt. You know they got them brothers in Chicago.
For sure.
L.A., New York. I mean, all over.
Going, yeah.
Don't get me started with them country boys taking care of their legs, eating steak and potatoes for breakfast. I mean, who knows how screwed up. I mean, you never know where the potential lies. But let's stick with this, right? Because I'm looking at that. What can we do to fix the All-Star game? Not the slam dunk contest.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I think the overall incentive just isn't enough for the players. Again, player empowerment, shout out to it. It's cool and all, but this is one of the events that, like, they don't want to pull up in Indianapolis on a Sunday and go crazy. You know, I think the best year, at least as covering, I'm gonna keep doing that until it's official.
That fourth quarter, the All Star Weekend a few years ago.
In Chicago, that was the best we've seen. That was the first year of the Elam ending, where it's like we need 24 points, and then it ended perfectly. And then last year was the worst I've ever experienced. Right. Where, of course, we had Steph Curry sitting out. We had Bron only play a minute. Giannis only played a minute. So that carries it to an extent, but it just wasn't really it. And I think what we could do to make it better is incentivize it more, because it won't ever be good unless we convince the players to really care about it. I don't know if that incentive is dollar amount. I know they've trickled in some charity work. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know exactly what it is, but we need it so that Bron really cares about performing tomorrow or in a couple days in Indianapolis, and I just don't know.
Makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Before I let you get on out of here, just a few more questions. What the hell is going on in Milwaukee? I just finished talking about that a little while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on. Doc Rivers is 3-7 as the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. They have looked better defensively. They have looked better defensively, but they ain't winning.
Yeah.
And Chris Middleton's a problem. He ain't what he used to be. Drew Holiday is no longer there, so you're not getting that defensive tenacity from the backcourt spot. Damian Lillard, you know he's an all-star. He's gonna be here. He's gonna tear. He's gonna put it on, but he hasn't been what we've grown accustomed to seeing Dame Dollar be. And Giannis is conspicuously quiet since Doc Rivers has arrived, and he's just letting it flow, even though he's still putting up numbers. Your thoughts about the Milwaukee Bucks?
Last night, I watched him play against the Jazz. Watched Grizzlies.
Yes.
And watched the 19-year-old Gigi Jackson walk past his defender 100 times. I'm like, something's not right. The defense is better, but it's not as good as you need it to be if you want to win that championship. The offense, when they was with Adrian Griffin, is like the third best in the league. It was cool, and that was carrying them to the 30-13 record before Adrian. That offense is not carried over in the 10 games of Doc Rivers. A lot of that is Dame shooting less than 30% from three on his high volume. A lot of that is Chris Middleton not playing, because the numbers say that when Chris Middleton, Giannis, Dame, and Brook Lopez on the court together, that's like the best lineup in the league.
Right.
But if you can't keep Chris healthy, and we're talking about April, May, and June, that's when it matters the most. We just talked to Kendrick Perkins a little while ago, and we asked him, of course, as a guy that played under Doc and has been through a 14-year NBA career, what is it like to see that coaching change in the middle of the season? He says it's hard, and it might take some time. And Kendrick predicted, as with all his knowledge, that after the All-Star break, it'll look better. I don't know if I have that same optimism, because I think about them going into a series against Boston. And though they will have the best player in that series in Giannis, JT is playing amazing.
I don't know if they would have the best player. I don't know about that. As great as Giannis is, when are we going to give Jason Tatum some love?
Tatum deserves all the love.
It's not Kenny B. Does Jason Tatum not deserve to be considered a top candidate for league MVP honors?
He should.
Best team, best record.
Best team, best record, and still 28 a night. Like he's doing that.
28 a night.
But he's not better than Giannis.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, listen, you can put it that way because Giannis is dominant. But you know what? I can't just take for granted if I send Jason Tatum to the free throw line.
Yeah.
I can do that to Giannis. I can't just take for granted that I'm gonna give Jason Tatum a jump shot, but I can do that to Giannis. Now Giannis is 6'11". He's a thoroughbred. He's a greyhound. He can attack the basket with fervor better than anybody in the game. But there are offensive deficiencies to Giannis, which is why I can make an argument about Tatum.
Yeah. But I see them go to that finals against the Phoenix Suns when they needed the most. He shot 16 of 17 from the free throw line.
Yeah, that's true.
50-point game.
We ain't seen it since. That's like bringing up the fact that I made 17 straight three-pointers when I was trying out for Winston-Salem State. I ain't do the shit since.
It's been a minute.
I mean,
it's been a minute.
I ain't do it since. I mean, that don't
It's been a minute. You're right.
All right, we ain't seen Giannis do that ever since. And oh, by the way, don't get me started. He was playing against DeAndre Ayton.
He was. And
okay,
Aiden is a whole other story.
I mean, please,
it's a whole other story.
He's in Portland using snow blowers to get out of his driveway and stuff just to get to games.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, again, Phoenix was undersized. Frank Kaminsky was the backup, and even he got hurt. So we can't go by that. You got to look at the circumstances. And what about Giannis?
I do trust Giannis. Big lights, big stage. I'm going to ignore the fact they lost to the 8th seed last year.
Right.
Let's go past that. But every other scenario, we've seen him rise to the occasion. Same thing with Tatum, too. I mean, Tatum had 51 in the Game 7 against the 76ers a few years, or last year. So,
well, last year he got hurt.
He did. He did get hurt. But I'm still thinking Giannis is the best in that series.
Do you still feel Boston is the team to beat, even if they're going to jack up 44 threes a game?
I do not like that they're dead last in paint attempts. It's never been a recipe to win a championship. It never has. And if it was going to happen, it would be this year just because the league is just evolving to the point where the three-point shot is superior to everything. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty, you in the NBA Finals series, sometimes those shots ain't going to fall. So what do you do then? Yeah. And the Celtics haven't been able to figure that out just yet.
My personal opinion is I think there's a difference between Ime Udoka and obviously Mazzulla. Mm-hmm. I just do. Now, I'm not saying Mazzulla can't coach, but he ain't no Ime Udoka. My New York Knicks.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of rough in the moment, but like big picture.
I'm not concerned.
You shouldn't be.
You know why? Because if they were healthy, Tom Thibodeau would be running them into the ground. They wouldn't have anything left come playoff time. Mm-hmm. But because he don't know how to act, you understand? Them being hurt works for me.
Yeah.
As long as they get back in time to work off the rust and they're ready for the postseason.
And they should. OG's injury happened perfect time. He got this whole week to chill, no basketball games. I'm excited about the Knicks, man. Mm-hmm. I ain't never been able to say that in my lifetime.
That's right. I don't think Miami nor Cleveland beats the Knicks this year.
I'm not mad at that.
All right?
I'm not mad at that.
Jaime Jaquez is better than I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was that damn good. Lakers?
I got no comment about the Lakers.
Why not?
No trade at the trade deadline. They've been looking better.
They don't have any assets.
That was my thing. They don't have any assets, and obviously nobody else was making moves either. So it's like, are we going to overpay for Murray? If he makes us 3% better, we can wait to the offseason. We have 3 first-round picks. As long as Braun is cool, I'm cool if I'm the Lakers. But we don't know if Braun is cool. He had the Knicks towel on. Mm-hmm. He had the Knicks warm up walking into the arena.
I wouldn't mind seeing LeBron come to New York.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't think I've ever forgiven them for leaving Miami to go to Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I never recovered until he went to L.A., and then I somewhat forgave him. But now, the thought of him going to New York City would definitely appease me, even though I know that it's not going to happen in all likelihood. Who's the team to beat out west? Is it still Denver?
I'm still giving Denver the nod, even though lately it hasn't looked pretty. Mm-hmm. But they did go through this around January last year where they lost like 5 straight, and people were like, what's going on? And then we got to the playoffs, and they were the best team easily. So I'm still giving them the nod. But other than that, the Clippers are my 2.
Well, I'm worried about Zubac and Plumlee and what they'll be able to do against Jokic. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when Jamal Murray's in the lineup with Jokic, they're like 28-11. They're a 500 team with one or the other is out of the lineup. So I got to keep my eyes on that. Mm-hmm. I'm also keeping my eye on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You like them?
I love Anthony Edwards.
For sure.
The combination of Karl Anthony Towns with Rudy Gobert gives you something defensively. Mm-hmm. But I think Anthony Edwards is the kind of dude that has infused something culturally into the Minnesota Timberwolves, where they ain't going to bow out as easily as they did last year.
I like that.
What's your thoughts about
that? The thing that scares me a little bit about them is that we do have a lot of fourth quarters where their offense get very dry. And I think about a playoff series, you can't have that happen more than once in the series. And that thing that scares me a little bit.
I got you.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what you're doing, man, because you're doing a lot of things, man.
Yeah, so just became a part of the family. The ESPN family podcast is now with Omaha Productions, which is pretty cool. Absolutely. I also have my own show that we've been trying to grow up with, inspired by, of course, you when I came on your show a little while ago. So we appreciate that. But, I'm just out here trying to make a living. Trying to make a living.
You got over 1 million followers, man.
Yeah.
You're making money, man. I mean, you remember, I just waited all of these years. I just got into the YouTube space.
Right.
So I'm starting to see why you
see where the money at.
Yeah.
Bad
job to have.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. But I'm trying to not transition away from YouTube because it's my baby. I'll never leave it. But also try to get to the main stage. Right. When I was a kid, I used to mute the TV and try to live commentate the games. Now, I don't want to be a commentator, but I want to talk about sports on the highest level possible. And being here right now is part of that.
Will be. Being here as a part of that. I'm going to have you on First Take, too, so stick around. I want to know you, Kenny Beecham, right here with Stephen A. Up next, got a bunch of tweets to get to from y'all, to show y'all about before I get on out of here for NBA All Star Weekend, because obviously I got things to do. So I'll be back in a minute to read y'all some of these crazy-ass tweets I've been getting before I get on out of here. My man Kenny Beecham, big-time basketball mind. Watch him, listen to him, learn from the young brother, okay? Stephen A. Smith will be back with more in a minute.